Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I'm sharing my first update on my experience with the Lenovo YOGA Slim 7X for 2024. This machine is powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon X Elite 12-core processor, just like the Microsoft Surface Pro 11, although there is a slight variation in the SKU. But all of that aside, I think Lenovo has hit this one out of the park, folks. If you're looking for an Ultrabook that weighs less than 3 pounds, has a best-in-class color-accurate touchscreen OLED display, 90 Hz refresh rate, 14.5 inches, I don't know that you're going to do any better than this, especially at a $1,200 price. So let's start by taking a look and a listen at this device's media playback capability. I'm going to go ahead and kill the studio lights. And I'll stop it there. Now let's take a listen to some actual speaking so that you get an idea of the clarity of the speakers on board. And these two speakers I have been blown away, not to be cute, by. And I say that because they did exceed my expectations in a big way. So here we go with some actual audio that hopefully you'll be able to hear the spoken word with. Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I'm unboxing the Lenovo YOGA Slim 7X for 2024. This laptop retails for $1,100 for ports, and of course an ad for what happens to be a really nice car, I might add. And that's pretty much what you're going to, or something like that. This seems to outperform that on every single benchmark that exists. In addition to that, when you're using this off... Okay, so I think that serves as a fairly good example. And what this really amounts to is that this machine has better speakers, a better display than the Surface Pro 11, but of course it isn't a tablet. It's not a true two-in-one. You're not going to use this necessarily in the same way that you would, of course, the Surface Pro 11. But when we're talking about overall build quality, display quality, and performance, as I stated already, it appears as if Lenovo has hit this one out of the park. And that's because the other competing Ultrabooks or laptops that are using Qualcomm's Snapdragon X Elite just don't have all of these features. They don't check all of the boxes. There are inherently more trade-offs, I would argue, than what you're going to get out of this. Now, we've got a 0.5 terabyte NVMe under the hood, 16 gigs of RAM. You can get this machine with beefier specifications on memory and storage, but I would argue this is a perfect sweet spot because remember, while this brand new Snapdragon chip is a breakthrough in at least what ARM architecture can accomplish inside of Windows 11, I wouldn't go as far as to say this is in any way, shape, or form aimed at power users. So if you have been waiting for something to migrate from your MacBook Air or even in your MacBook, I think this is going to make you really happy because, as you already saw, we've got a display that is not only touchscreen and color accurate, but better than anything Apple has to offer. We have best-in-class Wi-Fi 7 performance, which for me, in at least the studio here, has been over a gigabit wirelessly. The same thing you're going to get out of the Surface Pro 11. It's the same Qualcomm, I think it's the 7800 chipset. So great performance when it comes to wireless connectivity, and you expect that from anything coming from Qualcomm. After all, they pretty much run the entire planet when it comes to smartphones, and this is no exception. The webcam on this is 1080p. It works also really well. Again, it seems like this whole generation of machines, whether it was the Surface Pro 11 or this Yoga, just has phenomenal capability when it comes to the webcam, so that's definitely a good thing. And we have, of course, the Copilot AI on board. So while that's not something that I will focus on in this video, because I do feel it has a lot of potential, but is mostly a gimmick about this generation. The real stars of the show really reside in just the Snapdragon processor being viable for the first time, and the fact that we're getting better battery life and the same, or I should say very similar performance that we'd get from an Intel or AMD solution, as long as you're not trying to do more power-hungry tasks like hook this up to an eGPU, or just do things that, of course, the Qualcomm chipset is not capable of. So with the webcam, if I go ahead and get myself in frame there, hopefully you can see me. Not so easy for me in this setup, but the more I bring it this way, I think you're going to lose me altogether, but I'll do my best. And I demoed this also with the Surface Pro as well. Part of these AI features now, automatic framing, eye contact. The eye contact essentially just makes it so that even if I look away, it should appear that I am still looking at the camera. And of course, I'm looking away. I'm looking everywhere other than the camera. So hopefully that was apparent. The background effects, self-explanatory. If you want to blur your background, this is, well, how to do it. And you can go with a portrait blur as well. So it really depends what you're going for. But these are nice features. Auto framing, follows you around the frame. I don't think that's a bad thing to have, but certainly not necessarily a game-changing feature. But the AI components of this machine are really, again, not the focal point for me. I would argue that the AI components really are just giving Microsoft another way to get into Google's realm of data collection. But that's yet to be determined. What I can reiterate over and over again is that you're using a 65-watt charger for this that is really, really small. I'll bring that into frame. I do have it connected right now, but that is the size of the power brick. It's going to, of course, use a Type-C connection. You've got 3 Type-C ports on here. They are USB 4 full functioning, which means display port out, as well as power delivery 3.1. So really some great I/O, considering this machine appears to be, I would say industrial in nature and in capability. But these 2 ports are really a best-in-class feature. Granted, as I mentioned in the unboxing, we've yet to get real certification until July. Another USB port, your power button, and of course your privacy switch for the webcam that I just demoed, and just a really clean design. Now, one thing I've noticed, and you're going to see it right now, it is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, but of course it can easily be cleaned up. So that's the good news. I use this ice wipe to just clean it off. Seems to be no problem. But that's one thing I've noticed, that as good as the build quality is, as good as the display is, the speakers, and overall performance so far, it is a fingerprint magnet. I'll also point out that on the bottom, not a whole lot to see here. You can, of course, open this up. Maybe I'll end up doing that. I'm not sure as of yet. All of your exhaust, though, from the machine is going to be coming out right at the back. And at least what I've experienced so far is a fairly quiet experience, which is what you're expecting from machines like this, the Surface Pro 11, any of these new ARM-based machines from Samsung, HP, or Asus. It's all about delivering a nearly fanless experience where the only noise that you're going to hear is yourself. And this is pretty true to that, but there's no question the fans do kick on. The other thing I want to point out before wrapping up is that the trackpad, while not, I'll show you how quickly that unlocked, which was very quick. The trackpad, I think, is great. Yes, it's not haptic. I don't think that's a big deal. I know some of you out there, that's a breaking point, but to me, again, at $11.99, this thing on paper and in the real world appears to also best the MacBook Air as well as the regular MacBook in its class. So that's a lot to really like about it. Again, better display, touchscreen than anything Apple makes, and now battery life that is the same as Apple. And even when you don't have this on the charger, the per watt performance is still excellent. There is a fall off, just like with the Surface Pro 11, but not enough to really complain about. So this is, again, entering into what Apple's been doing for years through emulation. And compatibility is still an issue, but not enough that I would basically ever tell someone that this couldn't be the right machine for them. Now, when the Surface Pro X came out years ago, I not only said do not buy it, I pretty much said you have to be crazy to buy it. This is a very different time here in 2024. Between this machine, the Surface Pro 11, we now have ARM options that are not just viable, but make sense. So, from a gaming standpoint, you shouldn't be looking at a machine like this or the Surface Pro 11, really anything running Snapdragon Silicon at this point. It's not to say they can't game at all. It's just they can't game at all compared to machines that can. So if gaming is what you're after, this is not the machine. That doesn't mean it can't run some things, but no Qualcomm chipset right now can still run Minecraft, even though, of course, Microsoft owns it. So that's been a big knock for the Surface Pro 11, although I could care less. Really, what I have encountered is that any games that have anti-cheat software, that's where you're going to hit a brick wall, and that just means those developers would have to write it to be compatible with an ARM platform like this. Because remember, everything is getting emulated. It's just that Microsoft has come so far in that process of getting emulation to nearly be perfect. And then on top of that, not take a hit in performance. That's the big thing, because when you start emulating, you inherently expect a performance drop-off. But that's the beauty of this chip and whatever Microsoft has rolled into it here in 2024. And Lenovo has just flexed the hardware by having a best-in-class keyboard, as they do with pretty much all of their devices. But I have to say, absolutely love this. I did not show you the backlighting on the keyboard, so let's do that right now. Take it up to the brightest level, and let me kill the studio lights again, just so you can see what that looks like. And it works really, really well. So again, I think that this is one of those machines, as the studio lights come back on, that is going to make a lot of people happy. And dare I say, I may have to make a video about how it's time to give up the Apple laptops, at least for what they promise to users who are not looking to edit 4K video, things of that nature. All of you productivity and content consumption people, there's a new, I'll say, king of the hill on the block, and the Yoga Slim 7X appears to be it. Again, if you're not chasing the Surface Pro 11 tablet form factor, I don't know why you wouldn't be picking up one of these, at least based on my initial early impressions. Not a perfect machine, but very, very close for anyone that all of the things it brings together, are what you are actually seeking out, looking for. The Yoga Slim 7X has just about all of it. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.